My Lords, I thank my noble friend Lord Frost for calling this debate and for his excellent opening remarks, and I call attention to my register of interests. Each day, the direct and indirect cost of renewables expands upwards and outwards. Subsidies, constraints payments, curtailment, demand-side response, artificial inertia, and on. Rising prices every year from 2002 to 2020, at a time when, contrary to what the noble Lord Whitty's assertion said, when gas prices were broadly flat. Now we have the highest electricity prices in the developed world. This week, Ed Miliband claimed renewables are cheaper than fossil fuels and the price of electricity will go down by £300. These assertions generated widespread derision. The Centre for Policy Studies called them nakedly dishonest, saying the £300 figure is pure garbage. I would gently say that the noble Lord Brown just made a similar assertion, I'm afraid to say. We are told that net zero can be achieved at modest cost, but behind almost all those claims are the assertions of DESNZ. These are, unfortunately, divorced from reality. Lord Frost mentioned experts discrediting DESNZ's figures. The findings of others, Dr. Aldersley Williams of Robert Gordon's University, the independent energy consultant Catherine Porter, are also completely inconsistent with DESNZ. Yet DESNZ's figures are treated as gospel throughout our institutions. The Climate Change Committee uses them. NESO's claim that the Secretary of State's plan is affordable depends upon DESNZ figures. If current rather than DESNZ costings are applied to the Royal Society's recent study on a net zero grid, the overall cost rises arguably to an unaffordable level. My Lords, we are basing public policy on hopeful predictions that have little grounding in reality. Policymakers should surely demand to know what net zero would cost using real numbers. It's unforgivable that successive governments have failed to prepare a cost-benefit analysis of net zero that is based on real, hard data. Last week I said to your Lordship's House that net zero is a religion. How else can one interpret its proponents' head-in-the-sand approach? Entire industries destroyed in this country, cars, aluminium, steel, North Sea oil. And for what? China's carbon emissions are already 5 times the entire emissions of the entire European Union. India is about equal to the EU, but rising fast. We ourselves are a rounding error. Why pursue this extraordinary destruction of value in our economy, spending huge random amounts that will not, as the noble Baroness Hayman, who is now not in her place, put it, save the world? The government should be honest about its fudge, delegitimise those who have created it, start again with credible, disinterested analysis as to what the real cost is, what it might be in future, whether we can afford it, what the overall impact on the country and the economy will be. Remarks we heard in the recent debate implied we mustn't concern ourselves with the cost because we have to do this to save the planet. That is emotion-based, my Lords, not calm, fact-based reasoning. Except that at some given level of cost, we would want to decide that net zero was unaffordable. Find out, using facts and assertions, whether net zero's cost takes us into that unaffordable territory. My Lords, to conclude, I hope the government will consent to Lord Frost's request for a speedy inquiry into what the costs really are and whether their expected impact on the nation is affordable. I don't believe it is.